Gang, 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 gang. It's your boy Ghetto. Salute to you. Not taking no shorts, no losses. You know what I mean? At all times. Um, I'm just gonna speak. Had some things to speak on. I was recently on an episode of the Chaotic Truth podcast, and shout out to Chaotic Truth because whether we agree or disagree, the brother let me come up and have the conversation, and that's always appreciated. It's his platform. He's put in the work and the time and the energy to build up the platform. So he doesn't owe us that. He doesn't have to share his platform with us, but he does, and graciously and humbly allows us all to come up there and rock out. And so I'm forever indebted for that because it's an amazing platform, and love it, hate it, we all get to express ourselves. So salute to you for that. But today he had on Zachary Hubbard of Gematria Effect News, and it was interesting. Because his position, if anybody's familiar with his work or understanding his perspective of gematria and all that, his position is like very very simply, I he thinks the Jesuit order is responsible for a lot of the issues of the world, but when you try to pin him down on, well, who controls the Jesuit order, who runs the Jesuit order, who started the Jesuit order, he plays these games with words, and it's very interesting. And there was a one panelist, one Aaron C, who asked him very succinctly, hey, you're using gematria, you say it's a kabbalistic Hebrew practice of coding numbers into words, and they're using this to play God and to formate things in the way that they can move society forward with an agenda and a position that suits them, appeases them, gets them to their goals, right? So when you ask him things like, hey, okay, well, because a lot of people on the panel, their position was, the Ashkenazi Jews are the ones who are responsible for the Jesuit order. And his response will be, no, it's not. And Ashkenazi Jews are the ones that are responsible for, using the gematria in this particular way and using it and wielding this power in society to have media events and world events all calculated by particular sets of letters and numbers. No, that's not true. He'll go into that, but then when he was asked today, well, hey, sir, isn't the system you're using a Jewish, quote unquote, Jewish system of letters and numbers? Okay, so, well, what the flip do you mean? Okay, so, sir, that would literally prove the position we're taking. No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. All right, Zach. So, if it doesn't prove that the Jesuit order is at least ran by, administrated by, in the words of Be Brave and Think, shout to him, a very Jewish Zionist regime, Ashkenazi Jew Zionist regime, then who does it say it is? I'm very confused about this, right? But some of you might be like, well, what the hell are you talking about, Ghetto? Who the hell are the Jesuits, right? And that would be a fair question. So let me just pull something up real quick just to give a little bit of screen credence and understanding to the fact that everybody might not know what the heck I'm talking about. Because the conversation really derailed after CT tried to ask me a question and thought I was going to piggyback off of his position that the Greeks and the Romans are all quote unquote white people. And of course, I wouldn't have that position because, first of all, I don't play them stupid black and white crayon colored Crayola games that these fools play when they talk. Now, I understand, colloquially what they mean and what they're trying to say by that. But it confuses people and it's caused a ton of problems. And my position is we got to stop having conversations in such a silly fashion, because all we're doing is making it harder for people to understand us, people to understand what we're saying when we talk, when we play these colorism games. Like you're old enough to know better that a crayon color did not cause any freaking problems, right? So, well, you would hope people are old enough. Some people are like really pretending that they're not smarter than a fifth grader, and it really bothers me. Like, if you're not smarter than a fifth grader, how can you even be up here trying to refute anything that's being said? You know what I'm saying? Like, you're just not smart enough to have the conversation. And people are like, "Oh, that's messed up, ghetto. You're being mean." Am I being mean? If you're not smart enough to have the conversation, stop trying to have the flipping conversation. Stop acting like you have any intelligence. But I'm gonna handle business real quick, and then I'm gonna just keep talking and ranting about this, and then I'm gonna give you guys my schedule for my upcoming specials going toward so the next quote unquote holiday season. Let's go.
Disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act 1976. Allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, scholarship, and research. Fair use is a use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. Nonprofit, educational, or personal use tips the balance in favor of fair use.
He's in there. Right there! Hey! Yeah. I've been waiting on this day since your little uppity ass came into town.
You won't kill me, Air Marshal 50 Cent. You'll only die trying.
But I will kill you. Or I'm a dead train.
What? You thought you was the only one who mastered the ancient and deadly art of the nunchaku?
Alright, Jim, I know you've been trying to get your head around some of the social issues we discussed yesterday. I'm sure you're feeling confused and a little unsure of yourself.
I'm not confused at all, actually, PC Principal.
Okay, well, no, you are confused.
I'm pretty sure you're the one that's confused, but go ahead.
Because you don't grasp the severity of this, and that's why I brought in another young person with disabilities to share his feelings. Thanks for coming in to talk to us, Nathan.
I like apples and bananas.
Me too, bro. Me too. Nathan, could you tell Jimmy how you feel when people use the word retarded?
It hurts my feelings because I feel bad. Are you serious right now?
You feel bad, right? You feel like that's a no-no word, right?
That word makes my heart piss its pants.
Okay, wow, that's pretty heavy. Pretty heavy, huh, Jim?
Do you want to ask him what he means by that, or are you just pandering because you're uncomfortable around disabled people?
I am not uncomfortable! I simply care about a horrible, outdated word that is exclusive, ignores individuality, and equates intellectual disability with being in its spot. I need a spotter. Spot me. Somebody spot me, bro. And it's part of a derogatory hate speech which fosters isolation and loneliness, and being part of a voice to stop the R word is not only right but extremely important.
I'm afraid of bears. Hey, Nathan, hold up. What were you doing in there? What do you mean, Jimmy? Are you mad? Come on, Nathan. You and I both know you use the word retarded 400 times a day. Oh, Jimmy. So righteous, aren't you? So blind to everything that's going on. What are you talking about? You really think all the changes happening to this town are just coincidence? This goes so much deeper than you can possibly imagine, Jim. Everyone's about to learn the truth. And then, there's a war coming. A war, Jim. And I'm just gonna make sure I'm on the right side of it.
Come on, boys, let's get back to class.
I like to smell trees!
Yeah, man, fair use, fair mother flipping use. So again, you got CT, who in and of itself, very good brother. But you know, I get the game. It's the hustle. It's the I make content all day, every day. I'm not here to knock your hustle, but at the same time, it's kind of crazy that your hustle got to be full of so much inconsistencies. But you know, that's your thing. That's your thing. That is your thing. But yeah, so the Jesuits, who are they? What the hell are they talking about? What the hell are y'all talking about when y'all reference that? We don't even understand why that's important. And I get all of that, and I can respect that, and I can understand that. So let's check out this article real quick before I finish my rant. I'm gonna be up and out of here real quick. Encyclopedia Britannica. I know somebody, you're using Encyclopedia Britannica. That's a bad source, Ghetto. That's a bad source, Ghetto. That's do you guys ever get tired of saying stupid stuff? Anyway, Saint Ignatius of Loyola, founder of the Jesuit order, also known as SJ, or the Society of Jesus. 1540 to present, Ignatius of Loyola, El Salvador, right? So the Jesuit, member of the Society of Jesus, a Roman Catholic order of religious men founded by Saint Ignatius of Loyola, noted for its educational, missionary, and charitable works. Among other things, the order has been regarded as by many as the principal agent of the Counter-Reformation. The Counter-Reformation. So they countered the Reformation movement and was later the leading force in modernizing the church. Founding the order. The order grew out of the activities of Ignatius of Loyola. And you know what really grinds my gears with Zach Hubbard? All this mofo do every single episode, if you've ever watched this show, or every single episode he's been on CT or anyone else's platform, he goes back and talks about history, but then told me that I was focusing on history too much. He said, I'm focused on history too much. But literally everything he does, talking about Ignatius of Loyola, the founding of the Jesuits, all these different dates in history, World War I, World War II, when this thing happened, when that thing happened, he bases his entire gematria presentations and his entire system that he's saying this Jesuit order is using and having their minions use to conduct and run the world and push this narrative and push their agenda and keep people corralled and curtailed and in control in their little segregated race baited pins. All he does is bring up history and talk about different dates and what happened in history and why that's significant, but then fixed his face to tell me that I'm looking too much into history. And it was like, and then halfway through his spiel, he had to be like, well, history is important because then if history is not important and all we should be doing is looking at the present, then everything you say is everything you say is null and void, bro. Everything you say is null and void. You running your yippity skippity about what happened 100 years ago, what happened 50 years ago, what happened 13 years ago, what happened the 19-year moon cycle, and what happens every 19 years. These are the things he's talking about while simultaneously telling me I'm too focused on the past and I should focus on present day. And this was based off of him getting to talk to me one time, never asking me anything about, do I actually focus on other stuff besides that? Do I have any interest or anything I like to talk about or study outside of that? Because anybody who takes 5 minutes to look at my channel can see that I have a wide breadth of topics that we cover on his ghetto point of view. History is just one of the favorite subjects I like to cover. But you can check out Too Hot to Be Cool with the Gang. You can check out the Moynihan Report stuff. You can check out a brevy of topics. Halloween's history, Thanksgiving's history. And we only getting started. Make sure if you haven't checked out those episodes, you do so. You do so. You do so. But it's just so crazy that would be his position, that I shouldn't talk about history while his entire system and the way he explains things is based on events that happened in history and people paying homage, recreating, and giving credence to things that happened in the past. So I found that to be very funny. So this Britannica article continues. The order grew out of the activity of Ignatius, a Spanish soldier who experienced a religious conversion during a period of convalescence. What does it mean by conversion? So he converted? He had a religious conversion. So was he a Jew and then he converted? No. Ignatius of Loyola wasn't a Jew. The act or process of changing from one religion, belief, political party to another. So if he had a conversion, what did he convert from? Zach won't say. If he had a conversion, what did he convert from, Zach? Oh, you're listening to Encyclopedia Britannica. You're just as brainwashed as the rest of them, ghetto. I find it hilarious that anytime I'm bringing something up, it's trivialized, minimized, and pointed out as unimportant to try to move the goalpost because they can't defeat the points I'm bringing up. So the article so again, Ignatius, the order grew out of the activity of Ignatius, a Spanish soldier who experienced a religious conversion. Ignatius of Loyola wasn't Jewish. He was a Spanish soldier. The religions going on in Spain at the time were Islam and Judaism primarily. So what did he convert from? You telling me he converted from Catholic to Catholic? During a period of convalescence from a wound received in battle. After a period of intense prayer, he composed the Spiritual Exercises, a guidebook to convert the heart and mind to a closer following of Jesus Christ. On August 15th, 1534, in Paris, 6 young men who had met him at the University of Paris and made a retreat according to the spiritual exercises joined him in vows of poverty, chastity, and a pilgrimage to Jerusalem. Whatever. If this last promise did not prove possible, as it did not, they vowed to accept any apostolic work requested by the Pope. So they never got to pilgrimage to Jerusalem. I wonder why that is. Maybe because they know the place they call in Jerusalem ain't Jerusalem. And you can't be a real pilgrim unless you're pilgrimaging to a holy place or to a holy people or to a place that is important for your religious purposes. So, wonder why people in Spain or near Spain couldn't just go right to Jerusalem. That's pretty short trip, especially for people of such power and affluence. But okay, we'll keep going. If this last promise did not prove possible, as it did not, they vowed to accept any apostolic work requested by the Pope. In 1539, Ignatius drafted the first outline of the order's organization, which Pope Paul III approved on September 22nd in 1540. Now, I'm sure Zach would sit up here and be like, oh, yeah, look, 9, 27, and 15 and 40 and add it all up and be like 9 and 27 is what, 36 and 40, 36 and 40 is 104. And, give us 36 and 40 is, Jesus Christ, 36 and 40 is 76, sir. 36 and 40 is 76, sir. Dang, that was bad. 36 and 40 is 76. So he'd like, this equals 76 and that equals 76. And, he'd give us that whole spiel, which is cool. But I find it hilarious that they can do that and he can do that. But if anybody else is talking about the past from their perspective and why it's important to them, they're a joke, right? The society introduced several innovations in the form of the religious life. Among these were the discontinuance of many medieval practices, such as regular penances or fast, obligatory on all, a common uniform, and the choral recitation of the liturgical office. In the interest of greater mobility and adaptability, other innovations included a highly centralized form of authority with life tenure for the head of the order, probation lasting many years before final vows, gradation of members, and a lack of a female branch. Particular emphasis was laid upon the virtue of obedience, including special obedience to the Pope. Emphasis was also placed upon flexibility, a condition that allowed Jesuits to become involved in a great variety of ministries and missionary endeavors in all parts of the world. Growth of the order. The society grew rapidly and it quickly assumed a prominent role in the Counter-Reformation defense and revival of Catholicism. The Counter-Reformation. Let's just check out that real quick because I think it seems important. It seems important from 1501 to 1650. The Counter-Reformation. So, seems kind of like a big deal. The Counter-Reformation in the history of Christianity, the Roman Catholic efforts directed in the 16th and early 17th centuries, both against the Protestant Reformation and toward internal renewal. So they were trying to cut down, the Protestant Reformation. They couldn't have that going on. Can't have this going on at all. The Roman Catholic Church responded to the Protestant challenge by purging itself of abuses and ambiguities that had opened the way to revolt, and then embarked upon recovery of the schismatic branches of Western Christianity with mixed success. They didn't go after Eastern Orthodox Christianity. I guess they felt that was just too far gone. The Counter-Reformation took place during roughly the same period as the Protestant Reformation. Actually, according to some sources, beginning shortly before Martin Luther's act of nailing the 95 Theses to the door of the castle. Beautiful. So almost from the beginning, education and scholarship became the society's principal work. Yep, they went around miseducating people. They went around miseducating people. They went around miseducating people. The early Jesuits, however, also produced preachers and catechists who devoted themselves to the care of the young, the sick, the prisoners, prostitutes, and soldiers. They also were often called upon to undertake the controversial task of confessor to many of the royal and ruling families of Europe. And this is how they started to collect people's secrets. Because you want somebody to do something for you, you can't make a move. Oh, remind them what you know. Remind them what you know about him. If Cat Williams hasn't explained anything to you in his Club Shay Shay piece, just remember, collecting of information and being able to use that information at your have that information at your disposal to disseminate as you need. Whew, makes you a powerful person. Knowledge is power. Don't let nobody tell you anything else. Knowledge is power. The society entered the foreign mission field within months of its founding. Within months, they was out going across seas. As Ignatius sent St. Francis Xavier, his most gifted companion, and 3 others to the east, more Jesuits were to be involved in the missionary work than in any other activity save education. All these Franciscan friars becoming teachers and stuff and taking their time to make sure they educating the kids, educating the future on the truth that they want people to know. People, yo, Ghetto, why is it so important for you to make sure people understand your history and this and that? And the dude Zach sat there and was like, yo, it's true that they stole your history and that's important. Zach has even got on CT's panel before, as he does on his panel, and acknowledged that the tribes, the Hebrew tribes, is really quote unquote crayon colored black people. So he'll admit this on his show. He'll even acknowledge it on CT's show, which he did multiple times, but then will play this game with me like something I'm doing is off. Well, where does all this anger stem from? Well, CT asked me a very interesting question. He asked me to play along and go along with the fact that he acknowledges only pale-skinned people having had any contribution to Greece or Rome. I said, no, that's just not possible. And so we got into a whole huge thing. And here we are. Born to be kings. We're the future of you all. I'm about to watch Highlander, man. Highlander's on Prime if anybody wants to check it out. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Because, you know, we was Highlanders too, y'all. We was Highlanders too. We was the Shaitan clan, the cat clan that lived in the Highlands. But I'll let that go for right now. By the time of Ignatius's death in 1556, about 1,000 Jesuits were working throughout Europe and in Asia, Africa, and the New World. By 1626, the number of Jesuits was 15,544. And in 1749, the total was 22,589. Matteo Ricci, Jesuit missionary to China. Interesting. This is a lot. Let's read it. Matteo Ricci and the Chinese rights controversy. The society encountered an important controversy centered around Italian Jesuit Matteo Ricci, who worked as a missionary in China in the late 16th and early 17th century, so the 15 and 1600s. Decades of scholarly research into Buddhist and Confucian thought had prepared Ricci to attach the Roman Catholic understanding of the Christian faith to the deepest spiritual apprehensions of the Chinese religious tradition, because that's what they do. They go around figuring out how to mold what they do into your culture so that you will accept it easier. make the pill more palatable, make it a bit more digestible, easier to swallow their bullshit. The veneration of Confucius, the great Chinese religious and philosophical leader, and the religious honors paid to ancestors were to be seen not as elements of so-called paganism to be rejected out of hand, but as rituals of Chinese society that could be adapted to Christian purposes. They will do whatever it takes to get you to lay down. Although Ricci's apostolic labors won him many converts in China, they also aroused the suspicion of many in the West that the distinctiveness of Christianity was being compromised. And also, who can forget about my United States of JPEG series? I am keeping a pulse of what is going on today, but I'd be remiss if I pretended that if we don't learn from history, we're just gonna keep running around in this circle. Well, as my number people like to say, we're gonna be in an 8 infinity loop, just going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, not able to transition to the 9 and be in just fully finish the gestation, be born, not being able to finish that cycle, not being able to move on to 10. You know, we just stay here stuck, and that's no good. The suspicion did not assert itself officially until long after Ricci's death, but when it did, the outcome was a condemnation of the so-called Chinese rites by Pope Clement XI in 1704 and 1715, and by Pope Benedict in 1742. Pope Benedict the 24th, to be more specific. Oh, excuse me, not the 24th, the 14th. Pope Benedict the 14th in 1742. Ancient veneration and Confucian devotion were said to be inseparable elements of traditional Chinese religion and hence incompatible with Christian worship and doctrine, and they couldn't have that. Among the repercussions of the controversy over Chinese rites was an intensification of the resentment directed against the Jesuits. Their preeminent position among the religious orders and their championship of the Pope exposed them to hostility. In the middle of the 18th century, a variety of adversaries, both lay and clerical, were seeking to destroy the order. The opposition can be traced to several reasons, primarily the anti-clerical and anti-papal spirit of the times. Hostility to the Jesuits was further inspired by their defense of the indigenous populations in some parts of the Americas. Defense, is that what we calling it? Notably the Guarani in Paraguay and the indigenous converts in the missions of the Amazon River Basin in Brazil against abuses committed by Spanish and Portuguese colonizers, not Spanish and Portuguese colonizers. Moreover, the sheer strength of the order was regarded as an impediment to the establishment of absolute monarch rule. So they were, but it's cat because they was doing what they wanted to do for the French. Interesting. The Portuguese crown expelled the Jesuits in 1759. France made them illegal in 1764. In Spain and the Kingdom of the Two Sicilies took other repressive action in 1767. Opponents of the Society of Jesus achieved their greatest success when they took their case to Rome. Although Pope Clement XIII refused to act against the Jesuits, his successor, Pope Clement XIV, issued a brief abolishing the order in 1773. The society's corporate existence was maintained in Madrasha, where political circumstances, notably the opposition of Catherine II the Great, prevented the canonical execution of the suppression. Crazy. The demand that the Jesuits take up their former work became so insistent that in 1814, Pope Pius VII reestablished the society. Meanwhile, however, the suppression of the Jesuits had done serious damage to the missions and the educational program of the church at a time when both enterprises were under great pressure. their finances was low. They wasn't getting the money that they was getting, because to pretend that they was enslaving people, oh, these missions that they were going on to save people, they were the biggest enslavers. We not gonna play this game. The devastating effects included the closure of many Jesuit schools, hospitals, and missions around the world, and the confiscation or wholesale destruction of Jesuit apostolic works and text. Beautiful. So we're gonna take a quick break, gang, and then I'm gonna show y'all a few more things, and then I'm gonna continue my rant, because this is some bull. This is some bull fair use.
Maybe R. Kelly did urinate on this woman, but America urinated on R. Kelly.
Oh.
And if you let them put this man in jail, America will urinate on each and every one of you. Salam alaikum.
Walaikum salam, brother.
Please, people! You saw the tape. The girl testified she was underage. You're not allowed to do that to a little girl. We have a videotape.
Go tell that to your white bitch.
But the girl was... prosecution rests.
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, all that needs to be said is this.
Fair use, fair use, fair use, fair use. Grift is gonna grift, man. Grift is gonna grift.
Hey! Now, where did that come from?
A license plate says it's from the federal government.
Attention urban
Fair use,
poor.
fair use.
The Federal Health Department, in conjunction with the Center for Minority Control, is here today with complimentary flu shots. Complimentary means free.
Free needles? God is good.
Hey, whoa. What the hell, Hop, are you people doing? Have you forgotten all your conspiracy learnings? Listen, the government uses projects to test all kinds of poisons. Syphilis, crack, the McChitlins.
Those chitlins made me mix sick.
Now you see what I'm talking about.
Hold on, everybody. This is a government of the people, by the people, and for the people. And we, the people. I'm sure there's nothing to fear.
Thank you, Mrs. Stubbs.
How do you know my name?
Because we're your friend. Now come on over here and drop your pants.
No, Muriel, it's a trick.
It's just a flu shot. Don't listen to that fool.
Aha! Flu, F-L-U. Fool, F-U-L. Coincidence? I don't think so. Come on, people, let's tell...
Yeah, I don't think so either. I don't think so either. So, history.com, 1556, Ignatius of Loyola, founder of the Jesuit order. Ignatius of Loyola, founder of the Jesuit order of the Roman Catholic missionaries and educators, dies in Rome. Okay, so before I go to that one, let me go to this one. Boom. Saint Ignatius of Loyola. He's Spanish San Ignacio de Loyola, baptized in Inigo. Born 1491 in Loyola, Castile, Spain. So, make me understand this. Hold up, where am I at? Oh, okay. Make me understand this, right? I'm sorry, I'm reading off of something y'all can't even see. So make me understand this. How? So make me understand this. So this man was born in Seville, Spain, right? But all of a sudden, he's the founder of the Jesuits. But born in Spain, España, in 1556. Excuse me. He was born in 1491 in Loyola, Castile, Spain. What was going on in Spain around that time? Was it the Spanish Inquisition? Was it Dom de Verses? Oh, you piece of crap. What was going on in Spain at that time, y'all? Were they kicking out the Jews in Spain? Forcing them to either convert, leave the country, or face death? That wasn't happening. No, Columbus didn't sail in 1492 to find a new home for the Sephardim, right? Of course not. None of that actually happened. So anyway, born in 1491. Yo, bro, this shit cuts the shit out of everything they were saying. Died Rome, Italy, canonized March 12th, 1622. He was made a saint. Feast day is July 31st, 731. Was a Spanish Sephardic. He was Sephardic. He was a Sephardic theologian and mystic, one of the most influential figures in the Roman Catholic Counter-Reformation in the 16th century, and founder of the Society of Jesus in Paris in 1534. Ignatius was born in the ancestral castle of the Loyolas in the Basque province of Guipuzcoa. The youngest of 13 children of a noble and wealthy family. Nigga, these Jews. Yo, Zach, stop lying. In 1506, Ignatius became a page in the service of a relative, Juan Velasquez. Oh, so he was indentured? Juan Velasquez de Suelar. Why would his relatives have this name, Juan Velasquez de Suelar? Why would his relatives have such names, Zach? Why would his relatives have such names, Zach? Juan Velasquez de Suelar. Why would his relatives have such names, Zach? Treasurer of the kingdom of, he was the treasurer of the whole kingdom. These were a politically affiliated family. In 1517, Ignatius became a knight in the service of another relative, Antonio Manrique de Lara, Duke of Najara. And Viceroy of Navarre, who employed him in military undertakings. So this dude was a military man. This dude was a soldier before he became this mystic and this head of the Jesuit order, who many would say, you know, was a predecessor to, you know, Knights Templar, what have you. Excuse me, not a predecessor, but a descendant, a child of that movement, while defending the citadel of Pamplona against the French. Ignatius was hit with a cannonball on May 20th, 1521. Something Zach loves to bring up, Cannonball Day, 5/20/1521. He loves to bring this up, but I shouldn't focus on history because, you know, that's his job. Sustaining a bad fracture of his right leg and damage to his left, this event closed the first period of his life, during which he was on his own admission a man given to the vanities of the world, whose chief delight consisted in martial exercises, so going to war, fighting, with a great and vain desire to win renown. He wanted to be just known as one of the greatest knights ever. Although his morals were far from stainless, Ignatius was in his early years a proud, rather sensual man. He stood under 5 feet 2 inches in height and had in his youth an abundance of hair and of a reddish tint. He delighted in music, especially sacred hymns. It is in the second period of Ignatius's life which he turned toward a saintly life that is better known that is the better known. So that's when, you know, he's really starting to become famous. Let me take a quick break real quick, gang, and I'll be right back. I just want to update the lighting.
You're a bastard, Mr. Stubbs. You really are a Tom. You stole your friend's possessions to buy a CD-ROM, Mr. Stubbs. Your current address is at www.badodor.com.
But Santa, why are you taking our fish tank? Why?
Now that old dirty bastard was as smart as they get. He thought up a lie, and quickly, you bet.
Phantom Menace is the best Star Wars yet.
You're a biatch, Mr. Stubbs. Your heart's an open sore between you and Jar Jar Binks. Niece, I say I like him more, Mr. Stubbs. Mr. Stubbs. Ah! Why you must have purchased your morals at the 99-cent store.
Word, man. Hope that makes the visuals a little better. Yeah, man. So where we was at in the second period of Ignatius's life, in which he turned toward a saintly life. Excuse me. That is the better known. After treatment at Pamplona, he was transported to Loyola in June 1521. There his condition became so serious, and again this is talking about him getting hit with a cannonball while in war, that for a time it was thought he would die. When out of danger, he chose to undergo a painful surgery to correct blunders made when the bone was first set. The result was a convalescence of many weeks, during which he read a life of Christ. I'm gonna say read about the life of, read a life of Christ and a book on the lives of the saints, the only reading matter the castle afforded. He also passed time in recalling tales of martial valor and in thinking of a great lady whom he admired. Okay, Ignatius. In the early stages of his enforced reading, his attention was centered on the saints. The versions of the lives of the saints he was reading contained prologues to the various lives by a Cistercian monk. Yo, y'all playing with me right now. You doing this to the Britannica, who conceived the service of God as a holy chivalry. This view of life profoundly moved and attracted Ignatius. After much reflection, he resolved to imitate the holy austerities of the saints in order to do penance for his sins. In 1522, Ignatius bade farewell to his family and went to Montserrat, a place of pilgrimage in northeastern Spain. Stu spending a lot of time in Spain around Spaniards during the time when it was Al-Andalus and it was full of Muslims and Jews, but allegedly he's been Catholic the whole time. Britannica said he converted. Zach said no, he didn't. No proof. He won't bring no proof up. He'll just say no, he didn't. And it'll be, well, what does it matter? Well, what does it matter? Because it does matter, Zach. And you're too well read. I know you've read this. I know you know for a fact that this man is Sephardim from Sepharad. Bringing them reading these Sfaradites in the castle. But you see, I'm a nigga, so I ain't supposed to be studying Hebrew and none of that. But literally, guys, the word Spain in Hebrew, Sepharad. The word for teacher in Hebrew, male, more, female, mora. That's very interesting. Just Just like the word for brown in French is Maori, the people he was fighting against. The word brown in French is Maori. The word for teacher in Hebrew, Morah. But that there's no coincidence there. There's no way those could be brown teachers bringing books, Sfaradits from Sepharad. There's no way. There's no way. No way. I'm living without you. I can't do this without you. I just want you to be free. And you, yeah, you gonna love me. Hey, hey, oh, said you're gonna love me. Yeah, hey, yeah, you're gonna love me. As always, thankful to the Most High for all the lessons and all the blessings, and all the lessons. Hallelujah. 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 In February 1522, Ignatius bade farewell. Dang. He spent 3 days in confessing the sins of his whole life, hung his sword and dagger near the statue of the Virgin Mary as symbols of his abandoned ambitions, and clothed in sackcloth, spent the night of March 24th in prayer. The next day he went to Manresa, a town from Barcelona. So he's spending a lot of time in Spain. He's going on his pilgrimage throughout Spain to convert himself to pass the decisive months of his career. From March 25th, 1522 to mid-February 1523, he lived as a beggar, ate and drank sparingly, scourged himself. So he's doing a lot to try to show, his penance, and his he's trying to offer acts of attrition, if you will, acts of penance, acts of purge to punish himself for the life he used to live. And for a time, neither combed nor trimmed his hair and did not cut his nails. Daily he attended mass and spent 7 hours in prayer, often in a cave outside Manresa. At least is the story. We weren't there. The sojourn at Manresa was marked by spiritual trials, as well as by joy and interior light. While sitting one day on the banks of the Cardona River, the eyes of his understanding began to open, and without seeing any vision, he understood and knew many things, as well as spiritual things of the faith. It's telling you where in his autobiography you can find the quote. At Manresa, he sketched the fundamentals of his little book, The Spiritual Exercises, until the close of his studies at Paris. He continued to make additions to it thereafter. So now he's studying in Paris. He was just beefing now he's studying with them about the Moray. He continued to make some additions to it thereafter. There were only minor changes until Pope Paul III approved it in 1548. The Spiritual Exercises is a manual of spiritual arms containing a vital and dynamic system of spirituality. During his lifetime, Ignatius used it to give spiritual retreats to others, especially to his followers. The booklet is indeed an adaptation of the Gospels for such retreats. The remainder of the decisive period was devoted to a pilgrimage to Jerusalem. Ignatius left Barcelona in March 15th, 23, and traveling by way of Rome, Venice, and Cyprus, reached Jerusalem on September 4th. He would have liked to have settled there permanently, but the Franciscan custodians of the shrines of the Latin Church would not listen to his plans. And you see, after reading all of this, I can really understand why Zach doesn't want me dealing with history or asking him about Ignatius of Loyola or any of the other quote unquote founders or successors of Loyola that were the heads of the burgeoning Jesuit order. Because he will concede that the person that succeeded after Ignatius of Loyola was clearly a converso, a Jewish person, sephardic, but he tries to act like Ignatius of Loyola was somehow not. He doesn't want to deal with that, because then it would be saying the Jewish people run the entire thing. Sephardim Jews at that. You know, AOCs and Nick Cannons of the world. Them. Anyway, after visiting Bethany, the Mount of Olives, Bethlehem, the Jordan River, and the Mount of Temptation, Ignatius left Palestine on October 3rd and through Cyprus and Venice reached Barcelona in March 1524. Period of study. After the pilgrim had learned that it was God's will that he should not stay in Jerusalem, he pondered in his heart what he should do and finally decided to study for a time in order to be able to help souls. Another quote from his autobiography. So Ignatius, who in his autobiography refers to himself as the pilgrim, describes his decision to acquire as good an education as circumstances permitted. He probably could have reached the priesthood in a few years. He chose to defer this goal for more than 12 years and to undergo the drudgery of the classroom at an age when most men have long since finished their training. Perhaps his military career had taught him the value of careful preparation. At any rate, he was convinced that a well-trained man would accomplish in a short time what one without training would never accomplish. Ignatius studied at Barcelona for nearly 2 years. In 1526, he transferred to Alcalá. By this time, he had acquired followers, and the little group had assumed a distinctive garb. But Ignatius soon fell under suspicion of heresy and was imprisoned and tried. Although found innocent, he left Alcalá for Salamanca. There, not only was he imprisoned, but his companions were also apprehended. Again, he won acquittal, but was forbidden to teach until he had finished his studies. This prohibition induced Ignatius to leave his disciples and Spain. So this whole time, this Faradit man is in Sepharad. This Sepharad man is in Sepharad. The Spanish man is in Sepharad. He arrived in Paris on February 2nd, 1528, and remained there as a student until 1535. He lived on alms, and in 1528 and 1529, he went to Flanders to beg from Spanish merchants. In 1530, he went to England for the same purpose. In Paris, Ignatius soon had another group of disciples whose manner of living caused such a stir that he had to explain himself to religious authorities. This episode finally convinced him that he must abstain from public religious endeavor until he reached the priesthood. He also gathered the companions who were to be co-founders with him of the Society of Jesus, among them St. Francis Xavier, who became one of the order's greatest missionaries on August 15th, 1534. He led the little band to nearby Montmartre, where they bound themselves by vows of poverty, chastity, and obedience, though as yet without the express purpose of founding a religious order. The ordination of Saint early in 1535, before the completion of his theological studies, Ignatius left Paris for reasons of health. He spent more than 6 months back in Spain, and then went to Bologna and Venice, where he studied privately. On January 8th, 1537, his Parisian companions joined him in Venice. All were eager to make the pilgrimage to Jerusalem, but war between Venice and the Turkish Empire rendered this impossible. Ignatius and most of his companions were ordained on June 24, 1537. They followed 624. There followed 18 months during which they acquired experience in the ministry while also devoting much time to prayer. During these months, although he did not as yet say mass, Ignatius had one of the decisive experiences of his life. He related to his companions that on a certain day while in prayer, he seemed to see Christ with the cross on his shoulder, and beside him, the eternal Father, who said, "I wish you to take this man for your servant." And Jesus took him and said, "My will is that you should serve us." All right, listen, I'm not knocking what the man said he said happened. On Christmas Day, I wasn't there. So what I'm gonna say? No, you ain't see that, Ignatius. Why you lying, boy? What am I saying? I wasn't there. Christmas Day, 1538, Ignatius said his first mass at the Church of Saint Mary Maggiore in Rome. This ends the third period of his life, that of his studies, which were far from a formality. Diego Lainez, a co-founder of the Society of Jesus, a lot of Hispanic people found in this thing, huh? And an intelligent observer judged that despite handicaps, Ignatius had as great diligence as any of his fellow students. He certainly became in the difficult field of ascetic and mystical theology one of the surest Catholic guides. The final period of Loyola's life was spent in Rome or its vicinity. In 1539, the companions decided to form a permanent union, adding a vow of obedience to a superior elected by themselves to the vows of poverty, chastity, and obedience to the Roman pontiff that they had already taken. In 1540, Pope Paul III approved the plan of the new order. Loyola was the choice of his companions for the office of General. The Society of Jesus developed rapidly under his hand. When he died, there were about 1,000 Jesuits divided into 12 administrative units, called provinces. Three of these were in Italy, a like number in Spain, 2 in Germany, 1 in France, 1 in Portugal, and 2 overseas in India, Hindustan, and Brazil. Loyola was, in his last years, much occupied with Germany and India, to which he sent his famous followers, St. Peter Canisius, and St. Francis Xavier. He also dispatched missionaries to the Congo region and to Ethiopia. In 1546, Loyola secretly received into the society St. Francis Borgia, Duke of Gandia and Viceroy of Catalonia. When knowledge of this became public 4 years later, it created a sensation. Borgia organized the Spanish provinces of the order and became third General. Loyola left his mark on Rome. He founded the Roman College, embryo of the Gregorian University, and the Germanicum, a seminary for German candidates for the priesthood. He also established a home for young women and one for converted Jews. Why would that even be something that he would care to do, Zach? Why would he care to establish a home for converted Jews? And again, this is right after 1492. This man's whole life was in a time when Jews were being kicked out of their homeland and needed a place to go. And Zach, having this obsession with trying to hide this part of the history, leads me to understand, very interestingly, he allowed it to slip out that he doesn't know too much about his father's side of the family, and his father's father, or his father's father's father, his grandfather, could have been a Ashkenazim who converted under, after the history of King Bulan. Although the first Loyola had been somewhat opposed to placing his companions in colleges as educators of youth, he came in the course of time to recognize, although at first Ignatius of Loyola, or Loyola, had been somewhat opposed to placing his companions in colleges as educators of youth. He came in the course of time to recognize the value of the educational apostolate, and in his last years was busily engaged in laying the foundations of the system of schools that was to stamp his order busily engaged in laying the foundations of the system of schools that was to stamp his order as largely a teaching order. And it's so hilarious because the Jesuit schools, something Zach also always bringing up, Loyola Marymount is one. He's always bringing up these Jesuit schools and and how the people who come out of them all are for the Jesuit agenda. So you can't get them to really come out against the stuff that is going on in Palestine, in Syria. You can't get them to say anything about that because they know where they bread is buttered and they know who gave them their damn degree in the position that they in now. Chill, Ghetto. Why you gotta be so aggressive, bro? Relax, Ghetto. Calmate, Ghetto. You'd catch more flies with honey than you do with vinegar, Ghetto. My baby needs some milk and honey. My baby needs some milk and honey. Did y'all like No Name's album? I love No Name's album. That first album, whoo, Telephone, man. Ooh, you about to get your butt beat. I had to change it. You know what I'm saying? That album is my jam. Whew. Love me some No Name. No Name Gypsy. Please, No Name, put out another album. I get it though. The industry is trash. Who wants to deal with that nonsense of the industry just to have to put out your music and your art? Shout to Jaguar, right? She made the excellent point. When are we going to get back to cruelty-free artistry? When are we going to get back to having cruelty-free artistry so people like No Name can do their thing without having to worry about all of the extras that allegedly come with being in the industry, male or female? When can we get back to that? But I'm going to continue with this article in Britannica. Probably the most important work of his later years was the composition of the constitutions of the Society of Jesus. In them, he decreed that his followers were to abandon some of the traditional forms of the religious life, such as chanting the divine office, physical punishments, and penitential garb, in favor of greater adaptability and mobility. They also renounced chapter government by the members of the order in favor of a more authoritative regime, and their vows were generally of such a nature that separation from the order was easier than had been usual in similar Catholic groups. The Society of Jesus was to be above all an order of apostles, ready to live in any part of the world where there was hope of God's greater glory and the good of souls. Loyola insisted on long and thorough training of his followers, convinced that women are better ruled by women than by men. After some hesitation, he resolutely excluded a female branch of the order. A special vow of obedience to the Pope was called by Loyola the cause and principal foundation of his society. While general of the order, Loyola was frequently sick. In January 1551, he became so ill that he begged his associates, though to no purpose, to accept his resignation as superior. Despite his condition, he continued to direct the order until his death in July 1556. Since his days at Manresa, Loyola had practiced a form of prayer that was later published in the Spiritual Exercises and appears to have rivaled that of the greatest mystics. This dude was very much into secret occult sciences and esoteric arts. Not as exoteric, the stuff everybody knows, esoteric, the stuff you just keep to yourself, you know what I mean? And the fact that he was in Spain makes it so much more interesting because great book, The Secret Doctrine by Madame Helena Blavatsky. And in this book, she talks about how the Moors were in control of the magic. And in Andalus and in Spain, they had very powerful magic. And that, you know, it sucks that they stopped, because it made them very powerful. And their descendants could be very powerful if they only but knew. 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 Secret Doctrine, Helena Blavatsky. Check it out. Anyway. Ignatius Loyola was beatified. Say beatified like the Beatitudes, beatified by Pope Paul V in 1609 and canonized by Pope Gregory XV in 1622. In 1922, so damn, 300 years later, he was declared patron of all spiritual retreats by Pope Pius XI. And he's also considered a patron of soldiers, him himself being a knight and a warrior. His achievements, that got hit by a cannonball, bro. Imagine getting hit by a cannonball, surviving that. You know what I'm saying? You got people like Pac and 50 Cent. I got shot 9 times and I'm still breathing. You got shot with deuce or 38 or maybe 9mm bullets. Which listen, that is not nothing to sneeze at. That's not nothing to sneeze at. But you know, anybody who's seen a shell casing for like a 9 or a 32, like they have the flower shell casings, so it penetrates your skin slightly before it blossoms out, so it doesn't to be more humane and hopefully not just penetrate all the way through you, just leaving holes in you. You know what I'm saying? It's a more humane way to combat, I would imagine. So it's interesting. It's interesting. But getting hit with a cannonball back then ain't no flower cannonball that's gonna hit you slightly and stop. No, this is this is Brokanga. I can't imagine, man. This dude's a G. This dude's an OG. This dude's the original G. Sheesh. His achievements and those of his followers to continue in the article form a chapter in history of the Roman Catholic Church that cannot be neglected by those who desire to understand that institution. My goodness. My goodness. Take one more quick break, gang. Support the movement, support the movement, support the movement. $ his ghetto point of view. $ his ghetto point of view. $ his ghetto point of view. Be right back, fam. Appreciate you rocking with me. Could have been anywhere else in the world, but you are here rocking with your boy.
Lastly, is the business. Lastly,
fair use.
Lastly, it's flattened. And now the count is academic. There's the count. Hey! Austin's up. Wait a minute. Right hands. Look out. Right hands from the rattlesnake. And Shane McMahon just got introduced to the Seal Ring steps. Stone Cold Steve Austin. Catches another strike. And another straight right to the throat, right to the neck of Stone Cold Steve Austin.
What's going on over here?
Donald Trump is in a world he is not familiar with. This is not real estate. This is the WWE.
Donald Trump may have to get his hands dirty himself. He may have to throw himself and get involved here. Hey, look at this! Donald Trump! Donald Trump! Taking down Vince McMahon! Oh my God!
The hostile takeover of Donald Trump on Vince McMahon has happened at WrestleMania 23.
I didn't think he would do it. I just was suggesting it, but Donald Trump did it. He laid hands upon. Oh, wait a minute.
Colossal ducks. Don't call. Starters and MAGA. Oh, Lattice Lashley with a spear. Lashley with a spear. Will it be? Will it be? Yes, it is. Lashley wins. Lashley wins. And the realization of losing his hair has just engulfed Mr. McMahon.
This barber chair that must have belonged to a mighty bad barber. It's got straps for your arms.
Please, I don't deserve this.
And a seatbelt for your waist.
I don't deserve this, damn it.
My dentist has a chair like that, but I've never seen a barber chair.
Austin restraining McMahon, who's begging
No, don't do this to me.
for a reprieve.
Come on, Bobby, let's go. How you doing, man?
I'd love to hear what Mr. McMahon is saying.
Cut his damn hair. Cut his damn hair. So now we're gonna take a quick look at the family members. Some of the family members that they said he was working for. But before we even do that, let's take a moment. Where did I put it, man? I got so much stuff. I just started trying to kick this dude's ass, man. Oh yeah, this is a whole different conversation. Alan Dershowitz. Sure, I got a massage at Jeffrey Epstein's mansion, but I kept my underwear on. Damn it. I mean, what else is there to even say about that? What else is there to even say? Conversion, if we forgot, is the act or process of changing from one religion, belief, or political party to another. So he changed religions. Zach, what religion was he previously? Oh, you don't want to talk about that? You don't feel comfortable having that conversation? It doesn't matter. Of course a Ashkenazi would say that. Of course an Ashkenazi would say that. I'm looking for something, but I can't find it. So I'm just going I want to really quickly look up the surname Loyola. House of Names, Loyola history, family crest, and code of knowledge. Why is this important? This is their family crest. Well, this is one of their family crest. Why is that important, you say? Because we are going to stop the nonsense about this man not being Sephardic. Just like Christopher Columbus was Sephardic. Like, it's like people don't understand that there's all different types of Jews around the world. You know what I mean? Mizrahi, Sephardic, Ashkenazi, Ethiopian. It's like people don't grasp this concept. But I understand it's because the majority of the people who claim the Hebrew religion in America look one way. You would forget about all of these other groups of people who subscribe to Judaism around the world. But one of these things is not like the other. The etymology of Loyola. ¿Qué pasó? What does Loyola mean? The distinguished Spanish surname, distinguished, they came from a family of affluence, is of local origin, meaning it comes from Spain. But let this man tell it, he's not Spaniard. Being one of those surnames based on the name of a place where a man once lived or where he once owned land. During the Middle Ages, feudal lords adopted the name of their estates or lands as a family name, like Ignatius of Loyola. He was of the place Loyola. It was local. He was from Spain. He's Sephardic. Converso, which then they passed on along with property to their sons and heirs. They were heiresses. They were Harrises. The name Harris literally means the heirs. Origins, the name was found first in the mountainous Basque region and the province of Guipuscoa. variations of spelling of the Loyola name: Loyola, Loyola, Lola, Lola, Lolita, Loye, and Loyo. So these are all people whose family would be from Loyola. Oh, they be playing games. Early notables of the Loyola family: Ignatius de Loyola, founder of the Jesuits. Also noted was Doña Ana Maria de Inca. Incas? The Inca y Loyola, descended from the Incas in Peru, and the niece of Saint Ignatius, who was made Marquis of Santiago de Oropesa y Adelantada de Valle de Upangui in one. They don't want to tell you. They don't want to tell you. In the United States, the Loyola name is the 431st most popular, with an estimated 2,400 people. So not many people carry this name. So it's very likely one family. Loyola settlers in the United States: Francisco de Loyola, who settled in New Spain in 1567. Isabella de Loyola, who arrived in New Spain in 1570. Juan de Loyola, who settled in Peru in 1592. Martin Ignacio de Loyola, who arrived in Rio de la Plata in 1594. But let him tell it, this doesn't mean anything. Loyola settlers in the United States in the 19th century: Juan de Loyola, who landed in Peru in 1892. You cut, man. Let's just stop. And then, where's the citation? Where's the sources? Where's the sources? There's your sources. Giving it time. Scroll back up. Oh, there's no records of when people migrate. Shut the yo, I can't stand it. Can't stand it. No, you can't stand it. Won't land it. Won't bend it. Keep on bending it. Won't fit it, y'all. Can't fit it, y'all. And the wall and the wall and I and it, y'all. In it, on it. I'm feeling on it. The fruit in the fruit like moaning. Jump a chick. With a jump a chick. I'm just yogurt rhyming. I don't know. Remember the words. Give it the jump a chick. You a big fan. Want you back then. Guys, if we don't have fun with this, man, it'll just make you mad, right? So they said this was his uncle that he did work for. So I took, because it was in Spanish, I took this over to here to convert. Juan Velázquez de Solar, born Arevalo, was a Spanish nobleman. So this was his actual birth name. Was a Spanish nobleman and judge noted for having been one of the 12 magistrates who heard the trial against Alvaro de Luna. Ghetto, you going in? Nah, they be going in. I'm going up. You understand? They be going in. I'm going up. Noted for having been one of the 12 magistrates who heard the trial against Alvaro de Luna, constable of Castile, and who sentenced the beheading of the master, son of Fernan Vasquez de Solar, a nobleman in the service of Ferdinand I of Aragon. So his great uncle was a knight in the service of Ferdinand of Aragon. Ferdinand of Aragon, when the houses of Aragon and Castile came together to make the biggest house and to be able to kibosh the Moors up out of Spain. He succeeded his brother Fortun Velázquez de Solar in the royal court of John II of Castile. Uno, dos. No. Holding the position from 1431 to 1453, when he was part of the group of magistrates who sentenced Alvaro de Luna because of the remorse that sentence later provoked in him. He made himself a donation in the monastery of Santa Maria de la Armedia in Tierra de Solar and ordered a large wax head to be placed on his grave as a sign by which the master had been cut with his own signature and donated goods to the monastery. Let me put the rest here. His brothers were Fortun Velázquez de Solar, protonotary apostolic, relative of Eugene IV, and Bishop of Leon, Gutierrez Velázquez de Solar, advisor to Juan II, Henry IV, and the Catholic monarchs Francisco Velázquez de Solar, father of Diego Velázquez de Solar, governor and the first governor of Cuba, and Alfonso and Barnaby Velázquez de Solar, outstanding military men in the War of Grenada. These dudes was fighters, boy. These dudes will fuck something up. Pardon my French. That's how these people look like they get down. Eduardo Ruiz Ayacar attributes him to the paternity of Juan Velázquez Ronquillo, who among other children had the famous Mayor Rodrigo Ronquillo. Shout to Google Translate. Bitch! Alright, man. So, you know, man, I don't like doing this to him, man. But I had to. Don't play with me, bro. Don't play with it. Don't play with it. Don't play with it. So just remember, these is his family, the Loyolas. Ancestor Castle, 1591. Trained as a knight. Went into the service of his relative Antonio Manrique de Lara. Right, so Antonio Manrique de Lara. Antonio Manrique de Lara. So let's look at this one. Antonio Manrique de Lara, second of Nájera. Antonio Manrique de Lara, second Duke of Nájera, 1466 to the 13th of December, 1535, was a Spanish noble. And military leader and viceroy of Navarre. They are, what do you keep saying Spanish nobles? Like that's a gotcha, Ghetto. They are Spanish nobles during the 14th and 1400s. They're Spanish nobles during the 1400s. They are there during the time of the Moors. Why is this? Hello. What are you talking about? And a military and viceroy of Navarre between 1516 and 1521. He was the second son of Pedro Manrique de Lara, captain general of Army of Navarre and captain general de la Frontera de Aragon, Navarra y Jaén. His mother was Guamar de Castro. His father was named first Duke of Nájera by Ferdinand II of Aragon and Isabel of Castile. Antonio became second Duke in 1515 when he later died. He was also third Count of Trevino. Okay, so I made a mistake earlier then. Ferdinand II is the one who married Isabella. Ferdinand I was his father. Okay, and that was of the House of Aragon. So the House of Aragon and Castile hadn't come together just yet. Antonio became a second Duke in 1515. In 1519, he was made a knight in the Order of the Golden Fleece by Charles I of Spain. But I thought these things were just mythical. Hold on. I know when I was watching Jason and the Argonauts, they went after the Golden Fleece. But this man was literally a knight of the Golden Fleece? Jason and the Argonauts. Argonauts. Jesus, man. Reading is fun to mental, my nigga. Y'all niggas ain't having fun with this? I think I ain't having fun with this. You lost your mind. Appointed Viceroy of Navarre by Cardinal Cisneros in 1516, he was ordered to pacify the newly conquered kingdom, but he acted in such a brutal manner that he became much hated by the Navarrese. When the son of the former king of Navarre, Henry II, sent a large French/Navarrese army commanded by General André de Foix to reconquer his kingdom, the Navarrese population supported them, and in less than 3 weeks, all of Navarre was taken. In 1521, he participated in the repression of the revolt of the Camioneros. And in 1521, he defeated the French in the siege of Logroño, the Battle of Noain. After the reconquest of the Kingdom of Spain by the Spanish, Antonio was sidelined and retired to his estates in La Rioja, where he died in 1535. And that just talks about his families. So these are the people that this man worked for. Knights of the Spanish knights. Because he comes from a family that got down like that. Bro, I don't know what else to say, right? Except, Zach, I respect what you do, and I respect the work that you're trying to do for the community, but the fact that you keep trying to hide this huge detail calls into question a lot of the things you're attempting to do, calls into question your character. And two things can be true at the same time. You can have your reasons for why you feel you need to hold and hide this information and keep back the fact that Ignatius of Loyola is in fact a Sephardic Jew, and you can also want to share information and spread with the community and get rich and take care of your family. All that can be true at the same time, but to pretend it won't give you the sada. Pretend I won't give you the sada. Yeah, man. Give you the sada. Give you the sada. To pretend I won't give you the sada. When you are pretending while using a Hebrew or Jewish number system and saying it's the fault of an order that was founded by Jews, or Hebrews, Sephardims, to say that is not an accurate thing is hilarious. I'm gonna leave it right here. I think I put a lot in here for him to answer to. No, before I do that, let me see. Is there anything else? Is there anything I'd like to play? Sure, there is something I'd like to play. So many things. I think I'm just gonna leave it with this, family. Fair use.
The Superior General of the Vatican II sect's, quote, Jesuits, said in a May 31st interview with a Spanish paper that Satan is a symbolic figure who doesn't really exist. He stated, quote, "We have created symbolic figures such as the devil in order to express the reality of evil. When asked if he believed..."
fair mother flipping use.
The Superior General of the Vatican II sects, quote, Jesuits, said in a May 31st interview with a Spanish paper that Satan is a symbolic figure who doesn't really exist. He stated, quote, "We have created symbolic figures such as the devil in order to express the reality of evil. When asked if he believes evil is a process of human psychology or comes from a higher being," end quote. This is of course blatant and outrageous heresy. It is a defined dogma that the devil exists. The devil was created by God, naturally good, but became evil by his own doing. Notice how directly the apostate head of the Vatican II sects, quote, Jesuits, contradicts the dogma proclaimed by Pope Innocent III at the Fourth Lateran Council. Pope Innocent III, the Fourth Lateran Council, 1215, quote, "The devil and other demons were created by God, naturally good, but they became evil by their own doing. Man, however, sinned at the prompting of the devil," end quote. So, the Church dogmatically teaches that the devil exists and was created by God naturally good, but became evil by his own doing. The apostate head of the Vatican II sect's fake Jesuits says that the devil does not exist, but is a concept created by man in order to express evil. What a striking rejection of dogma. He is a notorious heretic. He's not a Catholic. This is the man who leads the entire, quote, Jesuit order in the Vatican II sect. Think about that. Of course, as our material proves, the Vatican II sect is not the Catholic notorious heretic. He's not a Catholic. This is the man who leads the entire, quote, Jesuit order in the Vatican II sect. Think about that. Of course, as our material proves, the Vatican II sect is not the Catholic Church, but the end times counter-church, the prophesied whore of Babylon. It's a non-Catholic sect led by heretical anti-popes, and its religious orders are fake. Its religious orders aren't truly Catholic. The Vatican II sect doesn't have true Jesuits, and this man doesn't lead the Jesuits. But his statement is so revealing. It demonstrates once again, frankly, how stupid it is to obstinately hold that anti-Pope Francis is the Pope and that the Vatican II sect is the Catholic Church. By taking that position, you are saying that an apostate like this leader of the fake Jesuits, who denies the existence of the devil and other dogmas, is actually Catholic. You are professing communion with notorious heretics and a sect of heretics. You are saying that a man who claims to be Catholic can embrace any kind of heresy or position whatsoever, such as anti-Pope Francis agreeing with Martin Luther on justification and condemning efforts to convert people to Catholicism as illicit and remain in the church and continue to profess the true faith. But that is false.
And of course, anything going too fast for y'all, feel free to pause and read it over. The practice of the church has always been the same. And with the consenting judgment, i.e. consensus of the Holy Fathers, who certainly were accustomed to hold as having no part Catholic communion, and as banished from the church whoever had departed, even in the least way, from the doctrine proposed by the authentic magisterium, Pope Leo VIII.
Non è lecito convincere della tua fede. Il proselitismo è il veleno più forte contro il cammino ecumenico. C'è un grosso peccato contro l'ecumenismo.
და არის ძალიან დიდი ცოდვა ეკუმენიზმის წინააღმდეგ.
Il proselitismo.
ამას ქვია პროზელიტიზმი.
Mai si deve fare proselitismo con gli ortodossi. Io credo che le intenzioni di Martin Lutero non erano sbagliate e oggi luterani e cattolici, protestanti tutti, siamo d'accordo sulla dottrina della giustificazione. Su questo punto tanto importante lui non aveva sbagliato.
The Church teaches that those who dissent from any authoritative Catholic teaching cease to be Catholic and are not members of the Catholic Church. They are outside the Church. It is heresy to say that a man who embraces notorious heresy, such as denying the existence of the devil, is a member of the Catholic Church. And that's why if we debated any defender of anti-Pope Francis or any non-sedevacantist, among many other things that would destroy their position, as soon as we started to talk about these kinds of people, the head of the fake Jesuits, Nancy Pelosi, Tim Kaine, etc., anyone of goodwill would see that their position is idiotic. Many of them would contradict themselves on whether they believe such people are Catholic, but it would be proven that everyone who obstinately accepts Francis as the Pope holds that a person who claims to be Catholic can embrace any kind of heresy whatsoever and blatantly deny dogma over and over again and be considered Catholic. And that is a demonic heresy. But it is a heresy obstinately peddled by wicked false traditionalists who keep people in communion with the end times counterchurch by falsely claiming that the notorious heretic Antipope Francis is a valid pope. The Vatican II sect's fake Jesuit order mocks the true Jesuit order of Catholic history and the great saints that came from it. Some of the greatest missionaries in church history, including St. Francis Xavier and St. Isaac Jogues, were Jesuits. The following is an interesting quote about events in North America around 1642. It relates how the great Jesuit St. Isaac Jogues and his fellow missionaries to the North American heathen not only believed in the existence of the devil, but directly encountered the devil's machinations and works in their missionary endeavors. Quote, "The deadliest obstacles the missionaries found to their efforts to Christianize the Hurons
anything but the
were
Hebrews,
the
and
multitudinous
it's so
forms of
sad.
superstition, sorcery, and devil worship. Controlling and an essential part of this system of preternatural influences were the sorcerers. Almost all of them claimed a preternatural origin and boasted of being in were the multitudinous forms of superstition, sorcery, and devil worship. Controlling and an essential part of this system of preternatural influences were the sorcerers. Almost all of them claimed a preternatural origin and boasted of being in communication with the spirits. The missionaries discovered that many of their practices were trickery and charlatanism, but attributed others to the direct intervention of the devil. The cabins and huts where they held their seances were oftentimes violently shaken. They themselves would stuff live coals into their mouths without being burned, or would thrust their arms into boiling water without being scalded. The rites and ceremonies they conducted were so indecent and revolting that they surpassed unaided human invention." End quote. Francis Talbot, Saint Among Savages, pages 116 to 117. For additional interesting quotes about the incredible trials, sacrifices, and successes of true Jesuit missionaries, as well as quotes from the lives of St. Francis Xavier and St. Isaac Jogues, who brought the gospel and the true faith of Jesus Christ to the far reaches of the world, see our book, Outside the Catholic Church, There is Absolutely No Salvation. Among other things, there are very interesting stories about how numerous people were kept alive just long enough to receive the sacrament of baptism.
Think about how sick that is, that you kept somebody alive long enough so you could baptize their ass before you lit them on fire anyway. I'm just saying, man, that's a little crazy. In my humble opinion, that's a little crazy to do. But you know, what do I know? Nothing. I just be chatting. Family, we're gonna leave it right there. Cause you know, when people try to play like Ignatius of Loyola was not a Sephardic Jew,
the lie detector determined that was a lie.
Love to the tribe. Peace to everybody. I hope this was educational, informative, enlightening. I hope you had a good time with me. I hope, even though I had to get at you, Zach, a little bit, you know what I'm saying, you appreciate and respect the work. I hope CT, you know what I mean, I had to get at you a little bit too, but you know, me and you, we go back like lumberjacks, baby. We gonna figure it out and do what we do again. And we'll disagree, and we'll have another conversation after that one and disagree on that one too. But as long as we are open to having a dialogue and, you know, sharing our perspectives and information with one another, everybody builds, everybody grows, everybody gets better. Steel sharpens steel, iron sharpens iron, and we not rusting out nothing out here. We gonna get to the bottom of things, climbing up to the top. Peace and love to the tribes. Please get at me any questions, comments, critiques, criticisms. You know where to tap in. You know where to tap in. You know where to tap in. His ghetto point of view at gmail.com. His ghetto point of view at gmail.com. His ghetto point of view at gmail.com. I'm about to start my Christmas series and be breaking down a lot of that Christmas history. So please tell a friend and tell a friend, like, share, and subscribe, and turn your notifications on. So anytime some new joints drop, whether it's a short or a full joint, you'll be able to see it and catch me on a bunch of other amazing content creators pages, from Chaotic Truth to This Might Be Risky to Israel Mills, etc. Lapeef, let's talk. If the ladies ain't still mad, and yeah, man. But I keep them mad though, because in truth, if we can't share our ideas with one another honestly, with respect, but honestly, then what are we here for, man? We really don't give a damn about the community coming back up. And I'm not gonna be that guy. When it's all said and done, they're gonna be able to say that dude fought hard for the community to come back up. Peace and love, gang. Catch you soon. Peace.
Thank you for coming. I'll see you in hell.
All the people with the backwards attitude, pointing fingers, and that's a bad excuse for sitting on your ass when you complain.